come alive in that last practice session. So we're looking for great things. And then young Evan Slater is in our fourth car and
16
also
years
broke
old.
through. Yeah, no, young, smart, doing a great job so far this year. Just kind of like chipping away at it, and I feel like at one point we had all of our cars solidly in the top 20, and that to me that's in a 48-car field, that's a good thing you want to do, and something to build on for qualifying. So all my work is done, so I was happy to be able to come up here, and I can't make those guys do anything that we haven't already talked about. So I'm going to watch just like everyone else and cheer everybody on. But what a great field we've got here.
All right, you're listening to former Trans Am champion and current IMSA driver, and as he said, 12 hours, Daytona 24, you name it, he's done it, and he certainly knows what to do and pedal in one of these things as well, and certainly knows this track very well. And as we get underway, Tom Pack took the earlier race in IGT. No reason to think he wouldn't do it again. He's a steely-eyed veteran at this kind of racing, but what's the key when it's all effectively in this particular race, one-make racing, rubbing's racing, as they say.
Yeah.
But what's the key? Because a lot of these cars, in terms of parity, are very close indeed.
They're close, but they're close in different parts of the track. So the overall lap time is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Is really similar. But some of these cars, unless you're a GT3 Cup running against the GT3 Cup, if you've got a mixture of cars in here, some have more power but are heavier, some have better brakes, some have ABS, some don't. So there's a little bit of change in parity, but how they produce the lap time is different.
Yeah.
So it makes the wheel-to-wheel racing a little more interesting. You'll see cars that just don't have the straight line speed, but man, are they good under the brakes. So they may come from 5 car lengths back and close right in on the bumper, or if you leave a door open, they're going to stick a nose in there. So you see it a lot in this type of racing. But I like that multi-class racing format. Racing in IMSA a lot, particularly in the GS and ST categories. We're used to production car-based cars being way different in weight and power formulas, and it makes the racing really interesting.
Any of the fields you would point at that you've either raced against or know particularly?
I haven't looked at the lineup
going through
here.
Yeah, I'm just going through it here. Basically we've got...
Johnny Reisman, I know.
Yeah.
I coached him before. He and his dad, they're great. It's nice to see them out here. And he's also got a Daytona prototype that he likes to play with, too. So the fact that it's out there and in what looks to be like a GT3R is pretty cool.
So we've already got a good breakaway already at the front. Pippa Mann is out there too. It's good to see her racing. I've seen her race all the way back to her early days in single-seaters. And, of course, she is a multiple entry into the Indy 500. She does a hell of a job raising the money every year just for that one race, but she continues to do sports car racing, and when she pops out and is also a big proponent of women in racing and helps young girls get up and running or trying to find sponsorship and giving them a helping hand if she can. Yeah, Tom Pack, Stephen Hammond, and that's the top two at the moment.
Part of that Shift Up program that's been
Yes.
so popular, helping female drivers really get an opportunity.
So, somebody coming in, and that is not a scheduled pit stop. And that's Patrick Mullaney. Now, what could this be, do you think?
Anything goes.
I don't know, but it didn't seem like there was any massive panic on anybody's face or diving or jumping to anything in particular. I know I've asked this question to many a driver, but what is it about this Porsche that is such a great race car? Why is it such the perfect race car? Everybody points to the mid-engine or where the engine is and how it's... But there's got to be more to it than that.
For me, coming from an engineering mind, the actual layout is a detriment. Having that rear engine so far, it definitely takes a different approach to driving it in anger. But I think really where you see the popularity of Porsche is just how strong the culture is and how the motorsport program and their customer program has been so successful in creating opportunities for the average person to go out and race and have a great amount of customer support, and just you see so many of them out there, and there's a reason for that. And this reliability has always been a strong point of the Porsche mark, and some years they're dominant, some years they're not, but they're always there at the end.
Yeah, I think to me, that's what is outstanding. You don't see many Porsches parked on the side of the road at a race weekend. And that, I think, is that reliability is, yes, it's an expensive car, it's a beautiful car, but at the same time, you know, its results at Le Mans stand alone. You know, it very rarely doesn't make it to whatever race it's in, short or long, and it can be a short car race, you know, it can be a sprint car race in a Carrera Cup race of 25 minutes, or it can be a 2 or 3 or 5 hour, 6 hour, 12 hour race car, and it fits just fine.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to race a GT3R here, the latest generation, the 9912 GT3R, and it was just so easy to drive around this track in anger. Like, it's so stable under braking, really good power down, and the previous generation we really struggled with, but we got the new car and came here and immediately fast, and it was just a kind of a great experience. But I've been on the other end, the other side of that too, where you know, just never felt really comfortable behind the wheel of one of the 911s, and so they can be finicky. But usually the setup window, and here more recently the setup window for those is quite large, so you can have a really big opportunity to get really close to optimum.
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of gentleman drivers saying it flatters them because it's such a good car and an easy car to drive quick. But then you talk to a Patrick Long or someone like yourself and they go, yeah, but when you're at an IMSA level, everybody's got that advantage. And then suddenly you're not looking at half a second, you're looking at 2/10.
Yeah, or less, or half a tenth, or a quarter of a tenth. And then it comes down to, you know, like the fact that they're very easy to get in and out of.
Yeah.
Just there's a lot of spacious room ergonomically. It was very easy to get in and out of, and that half a second saving on pit stops or ease would help. Just that alone. So it's kind of worth it in a way. The Acura NSX that we drive is mid-engine format, great downforce, great balance. Drive it a little bit differently, but has its really good strong points and stuff. But it's also really cramped inside, so it's tough for a tall driver to kind of get in and out really quick. So if there's time to be found there, we work very hard to try to make the driver pit stops go quicker and faster. And we really did a good job there at the Rolex sorting that out, where we're making some changes a lot quicker.
Who's your tallest driver?
Till Bestelsheimer is our tallest driver. He's been a long-time co-driver, and his 6'2", 6'1", I think, and you know, but he's been working out lately. He's getting in and out of the car quite quick.
Well, like I said, we've got a few marks out there. There's the odd Ferrari 458. We've got some Audis. You see one there in the background. Have you driven the Audi R8?
I have not. I've not driven the R8 at all. But if you noticed, recently this weekend, Daskalus won in an R8, and it was an early generation R8, so not even the latest version. So it seems to be those R8 GT3 cars have stood the test of time when it comes to racing here, much like the Porsches have. And you see a lot more Audis out there than most other GT3 cars.
Yeah, it's interesting when you watch manufacturers go head-to-head, especially at the world level. You see them sort of look at the mark that may be the 911 or it might be the 997 or whatever it might be, and then you'll see the 458 come in, and then once they get it right, they dominate for 10 years, or can be, at least as dominant for a good period before another iteration comes in. And we've got the head of Mission out there as well. And, of course, this championship sponsored by Mission. Good shot on board there. Coming under sunset.
He's using all the track.
Yeah, and almost run out then.
Yeah.
But
it's a tight race up front.
Yeah, it's a good race.
Ooh.
And side to side, wheel to wheel, out through 10, take the inside, take the outside, take the line away. And that is excellent stuff.
Yeah, we raced the International GT race at Daytona, which is always real fun. Some of the West Coast guys will come over as their season's typically over and add that to their schedule, and had a really great amount of time. But some of these cars that are here using some a little bit better exhaust and maybe a drop gear here and there, and a little more power. So I love the amount of flexibility you can have, so that a GT3 Cup car may be able to compete with a generation or two old GT3R. Maybe not have as much downforce, but it has good amount of power. So it's kind of an interesting mix. You can see a kind of different variations of the Cup cars over the years be able to all be up here at the front.
When you have a shorter race like this, do you fuel to the appropriate level of where you're going because the fuel makes that much difference, or does it matter?
I think it only matters if the balance change doesn't change. So you really don't want to have much of a difference between the beginning of the race and the end of the race as far as balance goes. So if you found a good balance in your race car over a fuel load, you want to kind of fuel for that. The other mindset is, less fuel is obviously going to accelerate better, but you don't want to get in an opportunity where it has now made the balance a little bit more oversteer or understeer or anything, and then you don't want to be, if it goes green all the way, there's no cautions, you don't want to be in worry that maybe we took out a little bit too much. So you always want to be a little bit safe.
Yeah, they're coming up on some of the back markers now, but we've seen it quite change around as we came down that front straight. Stephen Hammond taking the lead on the last lap, and now David Tuati and Tom Pank now going to third. So we've got a real rip-roarer at the front, and behind them, Bob Neapol and Marcel Feyen in fifth position. Reg Williams, who was a factor last time out this morning. This is their second race of the day. And there is Reg Williams in sixth place, sharing the car with Tom Long. And Pedro Torres is seventh behind him. Juan Feyen in eighth position. So across the line they come again. Wind's been breezy all day. You can see from the flags that are being waved. We've got yellow flags out at the moment. We've got a caution. Not sure what that is, but we'll find out fairly quickly. Now, give me your sort of modus operandi. As soon as you see that yellow flag, what do you do?
I start scanning. Because the first thing you want to do is you don't want to be lifting and braking right away, especially if you're in a pack of cars, because you don't always want to be the first person to see the caution out in that regard. You don't want to get run over. So obviously, like right now, the feed shows like just when the sun's starting to come down, the visibility gets really tough. So you want to be scanning, looking for where it could be. And the flags, the corner stations usually do a really good job of the urgency level. So when you see a flag sitting out, you know that there's caution. But if they're frantically waving, the intensity level of that corner station usually gives you an idea of
you
what's
can look at the
coming
whites
up.
of the eyes of the corner markers knowing whether something big has happened, right?
Yeah, but you're always trying to scan and make sure. You certainly want to slow down and you want to be cautious. That's what it's for, but you don't want to cause so much cautious where you get rear-ended.
And the truth is, you've all been there. You've all had to stand on the side of a track, and you know darn well if somebody doesn't slow down and you're trying to get out of a precarious situation, you will be pretty darn peeved.
Yeah.
And that's not the right word, but you know what I mean, if somebody was just hooning past you, showing no care for your safety.
Yeah, it's always the case. Yeah, again, we're all guilty of still going at a good pace, but just having some self-awareness of what's going on around you is important. A lot of drivers will get into that zone. They call it like the zone where they get tunnel vision, and nothing else can be on my mind at that point. And I said, well, caution comes out, something better be on your mind. Yeah. You want to be aware of what's going on around you, even no matter how focused you are.
Yeah, in the little experience I've had with track days and so on, just trying to go fast, your emotions are such a big part of this, and you can let your adrenaline and your emotions get the better of you and forget everything you've ever learned and forget how to go fast or what you were doing in testing when it comes to a race situation. Suddenly, it's all a little bit more frenetic, and it all goes out the window. And that is the key, and I think that's the difference between what I call mere mortals and racing drivers, is that ability to kind of take it all in, slow it all down, identify. You said scam was the first word you used. It wasn't, where can I get an advantage? It's like scan the situation.
You need to know have that awareness. I mean, part of the coaching that I do, and I travel around the country and I do driver coaching and things like that. Part of that is just putting a system in place, like a repeatable process, and be able to get that procedure in place to where it overcomes the adrenaline, the increase in heart rate, all those emotions that go through your mind. If you have those procedures in place, then some of that takes the back seat, and you can really kind of actually focus on what's going on. And if something happens, you don't think about it. It's already a learned procedure that can make it the process a lot easier for you.
Let me put you in an even tougher position. GT4R of Tom Pank. You're in second place. The clock's ticking down. There's 3 minutes and 25 to go. The light's still on the safety car. But how are you going to play this if you want to win this race?
Well, 3 minutes to go, and we'll see this here. What's going to happen here? That's at pace. It's the lap times are 2:10. So when they come around that final time under caution, it's hard to believe that they're going to not just throw the checker. But if the white comes out right now, there's not much you can do, and looks like they're throwing the checker.
This is going to be a yellow checker. So okay, unfortunately, I didn't get my wish.
So what's going through his mind now is
damn it. Yep, I set myself up for that one.
Yeah. And that's always the case. It's like, how much time is left? It's like, you kind of know before you know.
Yeah, there's a guy that drives a Mercedes at one of the highest levels who had that moment a while back.
Yeah.
He still hasn't got over it, I don't really think.
I don't think he'll ever get over it. I'm not even going to go there with my opinion.
He did the right thing, I think, was just to keep the heck out of the way for a while.
Yeah, leave social media.
Whatever I've got to say isn't going to help anything.
Yeah. It does. I've been in that situation. It's just like, what can you do? You can argue your point to a certain amount, but in the end, it's the end. Yes. So you need to just move on, and it doesn't define you as anything. All you can do is put your best performance together. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't.
Go back to what you're doing, Stephen Miller Racing this weekend. What have you learned? What are you learning from them? And I don't mean yourself. I mean what is the team working, how does it cohesively work when you've got a new driver like Casera who's a hot shoe and has, everything going for him and will want to go for the title, and then you have a 16-year-old, I've interviewed him, he's a shy young man, he's obviously not got a lot of experience, he's done Ford Spec and a few others, but mainly karting. I mean, This is really a baptism of fire. How do you nurture him but also get the best out of him, because he is going to have the talent?
Well, it helps to be just in a good team environment. Stevens Miller Racing is like when I've always been involved since 2015 as far as back, I ran a couple races here and there with them, but 2019 we really kind of developed a culture around the program where you have kind of a leader in there that you have good data with, and that sets good examples and things like that, and then you kind of build the team just around that flow of having that approach where you've got a support system through all the cars, and we've got several brand new cars. Those guys at the shop really kind of busted their butt all winter. I had nothing to do with it. Those guys just worked really hard to get cars together. I was happy to be. Anytime Joe Stevens gives me an opportunity to come shake down cars or test cars or help develop them, I jump at it just because, one, it's great seat time, and two, I just love to do that. But I had a opportunity to be here this weekend, and after the test, you really want to just go through those systematic approaches of how we're going to communicate as a team, how you want to get the mechanics and engineering type staff and the drivers all kind of working in a flow so that it's repeatable and you can be consistent, you've got good communication, and you're making good decisions throughout the weekend. Because if you're just all working together, all working apart, all under the same tent, you're not really growing as a team, and you're not. Individually you may have some successes, but you need to be always bringing each other up all the time. And no matter who the fastest or the slowest driver that particular session, everyone can learn from everyone, and I think having that environment together is going to be key. So that's kind of been what we've been doing the last 2 days here, and starting from the test, is putting that procedure together, which has been really helpful. I think everyone's starting to show it now, and qualifying is the time where you really have to make it shine.
Well, you've been listening to Mark Miller, who is, he's a good friend of the championship. I was going to say we miss him. I wonder how much he misses him. Here in Trans Am. He's on to bigger and better, and of course we'll be back here doing 12 hours, and you name it, you can watch him in IMSA, and he's doing a pretty good job at the moment as
We're currently still trying to put together a deal to run more IMSA races. So
good.
If that doesn't happen, any of those TA owners want to have me try TA1 car, I'd be all for it.
Okay. We'll take that. Well, the race finished under caution, which is not the way we wanted to go in International GT, because I think it was rolling up to be a good race. But never mind. Tom Pank right at the sharp end, but so too several others. And, well, more racing to come from IGT over the weekend, but we'll take a short break here from Sebring. TA2 qualifying. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up.